bring those values to the table. Clearing the wreckage of the past, injustice, First Nation Main Street relations, collaborative change. I know that this has been noted a few times as something of one of its kind across Ontario, but I think there are others, and there's efforts to do that. And I commend those communities that are working on behalf of that endeavor. Next slide, please. Identifying mitigating challenges, and what I'd like to do is just put some questions out there and leave those with you. In sitting down in a joint effort with First Nations, is the playing field what it should be? Is government's role relevant and appropriate? Are there enough resources for equal participation? What can we do to stay committed to the process? Can we build on our challenges as well as success? Are both parties being fair in planning? Are we celebrating our achievements? Are both community citizens benefiting from the JRC? I think there's one more. Are we affecting change in other areas, regional, provincial, treaty, territory relations? So those are just some questions I think, really left for you. I know for me, I have to, skim through those types of questions to figure out where we're at in the process, because we don't always meet as often as we can, but I think we're maintaining some consistency, but we always have to check in on these processes, because I think they're only as good as the effort that's put into them. Next slide, please. Considerations in moving forward. First Nations must continue to be forthright about the rights-based agenda and the spirit and intent. Municipal relations can benefit from having strong relationships with First Nations input, and Ontario is being called upon to consider the Elliott Lake and Serpent River JRC as a pilot project for policy development. And I want to stop at that one, because I'd like to say that the hard work that the mayor and his staff have put into this, and the work that we've put into it, and commitment and the faith that we have at the table, I'd really put a call out to Ontario and challenge them, to try to find a way in the way of policy development to set up these relationships and ensure that there's somewhat of a formal commitment to establish these relationships, because I really think it's the most responsible thing to do, and we have to move forward in a calculated, systematic, and a very objective manner. So I think that's what we have here, and I'm calling on Ontario, and I will be doing that formally. I've asked David to ensure that we get the ball rolling forward on something from a formal perspective. Canada must recognize an era where First Nations are forging ahead constructively on the issue of treaty implementation, and the JRC is an effective tool. And from our perspective, this is really a treaty implementation tool, as well as it is a local government collaboration. A treaty implementation is big, I kid you not. There's discussions happening as we speak all over this country right now. There's rumblings, the Grand Chief, the National Chief that spoke about that today. You're going to see Ontario really rise to the top in the First Nations assemblies this year. We've got some very key resolutions and some very key tables with government on the issue of treaty implementation. So we are going to be moving forward. Next slide, please. Basically, I want to thank the mayor and FONOM for allowing Serpent River the opportunity to do this, because I really think that we do have something here, and it's not based on anybody's smarter than the other or who's more advantaged than the other. I think it's really the willingness that really drove us to go to the table, and I really think we got a good thing here, and I would ask that you support this process, and you support First Nations in your areas to move forward in this manner. Be with.
I'd like to call on Mayor Rick, and then if we have some time, we'll take some questions.